This is the Three Skeevers podcast.
All right, episode 7 of the Three Skeevers podcast with Grim from Grimsforge Gaming and myself, Icy, with Icyfire Gaming. How you doing, Grim?
Good. How are you?
Well, this is take 2 because I messed up the intro. So let's just jump right into the patch notes before we get too far again, and I realize we messed it up. So Void Caller. It's got a line of max health, max magicka, and spell damage. When you take damage, your spell damage is increased by 24 for 5 seconds, stacking up to 20 times, and this can occur once every half second, reaching up to 20 stacks, and the duration is doubled but can no longer be refreshed.
Yeah, this is basically the magicka version of Fury, and I would have liked to have seen this come out the same time Fury came out because there's so many other options that you can run with right now. And I think in the way of balancing moving forward, they should introduce, if you're going to introduce a specific type of armor set on the magicka side, you should think about, what would it look like on the stamina side and vice versa. Just save yourself trouble in the way of balancing and make it happen on both sides. So
yeah, kind of reminds me of Champion of the Hist and Shock's Exoskeleton, how they both have the fifth line being minor heroism up at all times, but one is a stamina version and one's a magicka version.
yeah, I think maybe they're coming more in line with that thought process, but Champion of the Hist was online, stamina version was online before Shock's Exoskeleton got its changes to where it became viable. But yeah, so that 5-piece on Void Caller basically equates to an extra 480 spell damage. So
yeah. Oh, and for our viewers, we're just going to be going over patch 6.2.0 and not the updates, referring to 6.2.1 and 6.2.2. They were mostly just doing bug fixes and things like that, and there weren't a lot of changes to the sets from the original or from the first version of that 6.2.0. So just a FYI, this is just going to be a episode about talking about all the item sets that were adjusted and also the new ones coming out. Okay, continuing on. Witch Knight's Defiance. Weapon damage, weapon damage, weapon damage, and the fifth line increases your weapon damage by 369 against poisoned enemies. I know you like this set a lot, Grim.
I do. I think there's a new king in town. This set is going to overtake New Moon from its position on top of the hill. So it's not very hard to get the 5-piece. It's just poison damage against poisoned enemies. And so Stam DKs have a lot of poison in their kit. You could also be running Caustic Arrow or any type of bow build that's running poison injection. You're going to be able to get this 5-piece from it. So that's a lot of weapon damage. I'm really excited to try that build.
How high do you think you'll be able to get your weapon damage running this set?
Between 9 and 10k for sure.
Jesus.
Yeah, we've got a build in the works where we'll hit 9500 pretty comfortably with like 1500 stam recovery, I think. So we'll get that build out.
Nice. Future looks bright. Radiant Bastion it's got a line of max health, weapon damage, max health, and then the fifth line, deal 10% of all direct damage done to you back to the attacker, up to 4,250 damage. This set, to me, sounds like it's going to pair pretty nicely with Harbingers, because when you're blocking, you're returning damage back to your attacker, and now with this set, dealing 10% of all direct damage back to the guy as well. Oh Lord, the amount of frustration people are going to be receiving, it's never going to end. Especially you put this on a Necro who's in Goliath form. Good Lord.
Yeah, this is going to be pretty scary. I think this armor sets like this and Harbinger actually give tanks a real place. Like before, they just build tanky with max resistances and just try and out tank have high health and out tank the damage, but this actually gives tanks teeth, right? Like Harbingers in this set, if you're doing damage to them, you're going to be taking an immense amount of damage. So
Yeah, I think up to a point as well. And I think if you say you're going to run this in BGs, you really have to try to utilize the set where it'll be the most advantageous. So to me, if you're running capture the flag or somewhere where you're on a point and people have no choice but to attack you, that's going to be good. But once people start to catch on, well, what are you contributing to your team at that point?
right.
Is your front bar and back bar equipped to account for this, or maybe you can just change your sets out so that you can run something else that'll be more effective once people realize, okay, we can't touch this guy anymore. He's got thorns all over his body, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting. A lot of creative people out there. We're going to see how they can utilize this set, and maybe you just pair it with the one right above it.
Oh, Witch Knight's Defiance?
Yeah, maybe you
Yeah.
just pair those two together. One's a heavy armor, one's a medium. You can decide if you want to be a medium or heavy armor, either or, and that's a lot of weapon damage. And then when they're doing damage to you, they're taking damage. So
Yeah, gonna be very interesting. Crafted sets, Red Eagle's Fury. Add first line weapon damage, spell damage, second line critical chance, and then another line of weapon damage and spell damage. And then the fifth line adds 469 weapon and spell damage to your weapon skill abilities and increase the cost of your non-weapon skill abilities by 5%. Kinda sounds like New Moon a little bit.
yeah, the only problem I see on this is the 5-piece, that weapon, the weapon damage there won't help your healing, because anytime you have a set in the game that only increases the tooltip of weapon damage abilities or class abilities, but doesn't increase your actual overall weapon damage, for stamina characters, it's not helping their healing. It's not going to increase the tooltip on your bigger. So that's
What
the only
about
negative to that.
what about Rally?
No, won't increase the ability to rally. Well,
Because that it's technically a weapon skill ability.
yeah. So the problem is you'd get the same heal from this, even if it did, you'd get the same heal from this as you would if you just had New Moon on, and everything was affected, your tooltips. So
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll have to kind of see where the play increase the cost of your non-weapon skill abilities by 5%. I can tell you that Stam DK does not need that.
Yeah.
Magcrow might be okay with it. They have some free abilities and things like that, or Stamcrow, I mean. I don't know. We'll just have to kind of play around with this and see. Is this something you pair up with New Moon? This and New Moon together? I don't know. That's a lot of weapon or spell damage and a lot of crit.
Yeah, certainly be interesting. Next one, Ethereal Ascension, line of armor, max health armor, and then the fifth one, which drives me nuts, adds 7k armor and then increases the cost of block, sprint, dodge, and break free by 25%. Why would anybody want that ever? And I thought about this, right? And I said, okay, I guess if I'm going to be working with my CPs, I can put 25%, which I think is 100 points, into Warlord for break free to reach 25%. Does that sound about right?
Yeah.
So I have to put 100 points. Well, actually, those are all under the green champion constellation, so you wouldn't be able to. But if I was going to somehow mitigate that 25%, okay, I've got 10k more armor and 1,000 more health. Who's going to run that?
I mean, wear this armor set and it's going to give you all this additional armor, but it's going to cost you 25% more to play the game.
LOL.
LOL. Everything's going to cost you 25% more. Blocking, sprinting, dodging, breaking free. Everything costs you 25% more to do. The only other armor set right now that I can think of you'd pair this with is Alessian Order that gives you 2% health recovery or health regen, based on your armor. And so while there is a physical and spell armor cap, Alessian's Order doesn't take that into account. So if you have 60k resistances, you're going to get 2% health recovery on those by wearing Alessian's Order. So Alessian's Order with this armor set might be something. Just hope they never CC you or that you never need to block.
Yeah,
Or,
because say goodbye to your stamina pool.
Yeah. So it's going to be very hard to sustain. I don't know.
Oh, and with your Alessian remark, since armor counts as physical and spell, that's 20k, 10k on each.
Yeah.
That's a lot of health recovery coming in.
Yeah.
Shoot. And I guess my other point. So they say increasing the cost by 25%. Why? So going off the other sets that we already have in the game, Hades, for example, it reduces all of those things by 5%. New Moon increases your cost by 5%. Other things, 5%. Why are they testing the waters with 25%? If they made this set increases the cost of block, sprint, dodge, break free by 5%, I would have no problem.
Yeah.
I'd be okay with that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That's all I got to say on that.
I really don't need armor so bad that I need to increase my block, sprint, dodge, and break free by 25%. I don't think that there's very many people that need those type of cost increases.
Yeah, especially when you can't even break free anyway, and then when you do, it costs 25% more.
True story.
Zing!
Zing! Fix the game, please.
Oh Lord, had to sneak that one in there.
Yeah. Shots fired.
Shots fired. Legacy of Karth. First line adds critical chance, then weapon and spell damage, and then offensive penetration. That's a funny way to put it. And then the fifth line, enemies affected by your alchemic poisons take 2,000 disease damage every 1 second.
Yeah. So that in PvP it'll equate to 1,000 damage dot on somebody per second. I'm interested, affected by your alchemic poisons. So is it just an extra 1,000 dot pressure damage as long as your poison is ticking on them?
In addition to that, right?
Yeah. So your poison's doing its work and you're basically adding 1,000 extra damage to your dot, your poisons. That's what you're doing with this set.
Yeah. And critical chance, it just says critical chance by itself. Wouldn't it normally say weapon crit or spell crit?
Yeah, I think they're changing something where critical chance applies to both spell damage and weapon damage now.
Oh, okay, cool.
We'll probably see that change in the stats the same way armor or whatever is going to be combined.
Copy.
So,
okay. Frenzied Momentum for one of the arena sets adds a line of max stamina, perfected only. And then the last line, while momentum is active, casting stamina abilities generates a stack of frenzied momentum for 10 seconds up to 5 times. Upon reaching max stacks, your next heavy attack will consume all stacks and release a violent explosion of energy around your target, dealing 9,000 physical damage to them and all enemies within 8 meters. That sounds kind of badass.
yeah. It's going to be pretty easy to hit this too, because when you're casting a stamina ability, it generates a stack. So that's no problem at all. Unless you're a hybrid build, right? And you're running Magicka and stamina abilities. So I'm pretty interested to see this and just maybe this is something I put on the Incredible Hulk. So yeah, he's already running a DK ability that increases his heavy attack by 50%. So I'm using heavy attacks on him, so why not hit really hard with that heavy attack and cause a huge crater explosion at impact?
Yeah, I'm very interested to see what the release a violent explosion of energy around your target, what that looks like as a visual. That'll be pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Is there no one else has it up already?
Oh,
It's
he
just like,
does.
yeah, just a small 5 meter, 6 meter explosion, 8 meters. There you go.
Oh, okay. That'd be neat. Void Bash, Power Bash, adds a line of max health on the perfected version, and then when you deal damage with Power Bash, you apply Call of the Void to yourself for 2 seconds. Enemies within 12 meters are immediately pulled to you. After Call of the Void ends, you apply Major Maim to enemies in the area for 10 seconds, occurring once every 13 seconds. I like this a lot. I think I do use Power Bash on Senna, so I was thinking about adding that, maybe removing the Trudons on her and putting this on. Actually, hold on a minute. Would this be the shield of the arena weapons? Do you think?
I think so. Yeah, I think this is going to be the shield Power Bash. So Power Bash is actually a sword and board ability, right? The last,
Hmm.
yeah. So like reverb or Power Bash.
Yeah, reverberating bash, yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So when you
Yeah,
hit them with that, it's going to pull everything in. So it's kind of like not necessarily an AoE taunt, but an AoE gather up a bunch of trash.
yeah, it'll be interesting for sure, but now I just gotta figure out how am I gonna, what do I rather give up? Daedric Trickery or Shackle Breaker? You know?
Neither.
Right? Yeah,
Yeah,
that's how I feel.
yeah, neither. Because thing about this in a PvP atmosphere, pulling them to you is going to grant them CC immunity. You'll still be able to hit them with your talons after you pull them towards you for the root. So, but this is going to give them CC immunity for 6 seconds to all hard CCs. And most of the time, a lot of people need the hard CC to set up their burst and secure the kill and things like that. But you're just going to give it to them right off the bat for them to what? Just maybe they were going to be fighting you melee anyways, and if they
Hmm.
weren't, like, they're CC immune now, they're gone. So
Yeah, and I guess if they're not pulled in, do they still get the Major Maim applied to them?
yeah, and that was another thing too. Aren't they lowering Major Maim from 15% down to
10?
10%? Yeah, so they're gonna do 10% less damage to you. It's almost not even worth applying major or minor maim to targets. So
Yeah. Yeah, we'll have to see when it comes out. Executioner's Blade, Hidden Blade, Perfected version adds a line of weapon crit, and then Hidden Blade deals 200% more damage to targets under 25% health when you are standing behind them.
yeah, that's their execute, right? The Nightblade's execute. I,
Um,
I think Nephis was really excited about that, and he thought it was going to be overperforming. It's doing 200% more damage to targets under 25%, and he was looking at it from a trials perspective. He's just
mhm.
like, you can already cheese a lot of the mechanics of trials and things like that right now. This is just going to make it that much more laughable.
Right. That'll be interesting. Point Blank Snipe, Perfected version adds a line of weapon damage, and then increases your damage done with Snipe by 33% against targets that are within 7 meters of you.
Yeah, that's scary. I might put that on my green arrow just to increase his snipe damage, but because he's a Stamplar, he's not a Stam Blade, he's not able to hop in and out of stealth and get that guaranteed crit. So this might be the way to go. This paired with the Frenzied Fury from Vampire might be pretty scary.
Yeah, on the thumbnail you could put an arrow with the boxing glove at the end of it. I think that'd be pretty funny.
Yeah.
Wrath of Elements, weakness to elements. Perfected version adds a line of spell penetration, and then casting weakness to elements on a target within 15 meters of you causes a surge of elemental energy to tether between you for 10 seconds. While the tether persists and you remain in range, enemies touching the tether take 2,000 flame shock or frost damage every 1 second, occurring once every 10 seconds.
It's interesting. It's almost basically like free damage because you're going to be using that ability anyways, right?
Yeah, at
On
least
a lot of magic builds.
right. Yeah. I'm just trying to think if we would use this in like a PvE type setting. Because I guess right now we just use it to debuff bosses and stuff like that. But this would give you a damaging element to it, so that might be pretty neat.
Yeah, pretty significant damage element too, right? 21,000 damage.
Yeah, every 1 second. And
Yeah.
it has a 100% uptime.
Yeah. Now the interesting thing about it is it's a unique effect, so only one person would probably be able to apply it, right?
Yeah, so, and I know, well, I guess we'll cover this once we get to the next one, but I know in our little group, I don't think we're going to be running weakness to elements anymore because of the major breach and fracture changes. So
Yeah.
the tank will be applying that. So instead of both of us applying, one's using pierce armor and then I'm using elemental susceptibility, now he'll be consistently using that, or ransack is the other version, and I'll be using force siphon, which I'll just read this one now. So force overflow. The perfected version will add a line of max magicka, and then casting Force Siphon on a target within 15 meters of you causes a surge of magical energy to tether between you for 10 seconds. While the tether persists and you remain in range, you and a group members in the tether restore 175 magic and stamina every 1 second. This can occur once every 10 seconds. This has immense value for DPS because of the resource, the sustain it allows them to have. And I know for our group, I'm usually running Symphony. We'll say for a final DLC boss, I'm running Symphony, Hollow Fang, and once this comes out, definitely going to have Force Overflow on the bar now to add more sustain when we encounter those bosses. So that'll definitely be interesting. Yeah, because I know at least coming from the support or healer standpoint, allowing them to have more, giving them more sustain has more value than me doing damage, since they're already specializing in that to such a high level.
Right.
So, yeah, interesting. Arena sets. Hex Siphon, light armor set. Max Magicka, spell damage, spell crit, spell damage, and then the fifth line, when you bash an enemy, you release a cone of hexing energy in front of you. Each enemy hit increases your spell damage by 88 for 8 seconds, up to a maximum of 6 enemies. This effect can occur once every 8 seconds. Whenever you successfully interrupt a target, you restore 1,000 Magicka.
Yeah. A lot of spell damage on this set. This set would probably pair very nicely with Bloodlord's Embrace, which requires you to bash an opponent, and then you're getting Magicka back as a sustain when they attack you. So, maybe Bloodlord's Embrace is the sustain part of that build, and this is the damage portion, because that 5-piece alone on that's 528 spell damage, and then you got 129 as the 3-piece and 171 as the 5-piece. So that armor set might be single-handedly the highest spell damage armor set in the game, but it requires you to bash and hit up to 6 targets, with the 5-piece. So got some restoring too. Interrupt whenever you successfully interrupt a target, you restore 1,000 Magicka. So that's a plus too.
Yeah, it seems like a very interesting PvE set for sure. At least if I was ever going to use it, that's where I would use it.
Yeah.
Pestilent Host, medium armor set. It's got a line of physical penetration, max stamina, weapon damage, physical penetration, and then whenever you kill an enemy afflicted with a poison effect, their corpse releases a writhing mass of fetcher flies, which seek out the nearest enemy within 12 meters, causing them to bleed for 31,000 physical damage over 10 seconds.
Pretty
That's a lot.
scary.
That's a lot. Isn't there a set that kind of already does that?
Well, on the on death, I mean, vicious death for Magicka, you know, someone dies, they blow up in a fiery explosion, but yeah, this is 31,000 physical damage over 10 seconds. And so you're not going to do a full 31,000 to a player in PvP. So just say that's 15k damage over 10 seconds. So it's going to be 1,000 damage, you know, 1,200 damage on a player over 10 every 10 seconds. You know, 1,500 damage every second for 10 seconds. That's what it's going to be. 1,500 extra damage whenever you kill an enemy afflicted by a poison effect. So that's fairly easy. Poison injection, DKs, noxious breath, stuff like that. So it's interesting.
Yeah, definitely going to be nice during the IC event or mid-year mayhem. Just kill one person in a Zerg and they're all going to be infected. So that'll be pretty neat.
A lot of penetration on that build. That's a really nice plus. The 2 and then the top part of the 5-piece, like that has more penetration than Spriggan's, more penetration than New Moon. So if you're lacking penetration in a build, that might be the way to go.
Yeah, and I'm noticing that a lot of the new sets they're introducing, they have 2 fifth lines instead of just one line for everything. The 5th line also has a little bonus, a little oomph. So I think that's pretty cool that they're starting to do that.
Yeah.
Explosive Rebuke, heavy armor set. It's got a line of max stam, max health, weapon and spell damage, and then the 5th one, of course, the next item I read, it doesn't have an extra 5th line. When you successfully block, you place a bomb on the enemy for 10 seconds, and when they are hit with a fully charged heavy attack, the bomb detonates, dealing 13,000 flame damage to all enemies within 8 meters, and this can occur once every 8 seconds. That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, I bet that'll be fun on a Mag DK. Their whole offensive and defensive kits are block cast capable, and Mag DKs outside of their whip, you know, they're known to just apply dot pressure. So this is going to give them a little bit more burst potential. So yeah, I'm interested to see that on a Mag DK.
Yeah, I'm not a duelist, but with all the blocking that you do, this sounds like it might be pretty cool in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what do I know? New mythic items. Ring of the Pale Order. Restore 15% of the damage you deal as health. You cannot be healed by anyone but yourself. When I read this as a healer, I thought, well, I'm out of a job. I guess I'm going to go play Smite or something. But I know a lot of people this is going to be like for all like the 1v X's and stuff, which is pretty cool. But even just soloing dungeons and stuff, I think that'd be pretty neat, where you don't have to really worry about healing yourself or anything. Just keep doing a lot of damage and you'll be fine for a PvE type thing. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. If you're a solo player and you're currently running Malakath or Ring of the Wild Hunt, this ring right here is going to give you a reason to come off of one of those and, you know, move a little slower or hit a little softer, but actually be able to heal yourself and more adequately. And then I saw that they raised the cap on the heal. You said it was like 3,750.
Oh, they actually lower
Lower.
they just put a cap on it where before it didn't have a cap, and I think that was specifically for PvE healing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I look at it, if you're on a Stam Sork and your crit surge is already going to be healing for like 3,400 every second that you do critical damage, and then this thing has the potential to heal you for 3,750. Like Stamsorks are going to have a lot of healing coming in. We're going to see some people that are going to be very, very hard to kill.
Actually, from something that I was reading that they said in the patch notes was that they're not concerned about the PvP healing for the set with all of the nerfs healing it has within that realm. But with PvE, when you're doing parses on a dummy or on bosses and you're parsing 80, 90, 100k, those are big heals coming in. But
Yeah.
in PvP, you're never going to come anywhere close to those numbers.
Yeah.
That's their rationale.
Yeah. What would that be? So, let me see here. How would we figure out 3,750 times what, 15? What we need to figure out what the total damage amount you need to do to equate to that type of heal.
Oh, I think they said 25k.
Is it 25,000?
I think that's what they said.
So 25,000 minus 15%. Yeah. So you'd need to do a 25k hit on somebody. So in PvP, we might only see that on those rare occasions where you do a take flight and they're wearing paper for armor.
Yeah, or you're that guy that you like to watch that comes out of stealth and one shots everybody with the berserker animation cancel and dizzy swing. Yeah.
Yeah, the dizzy swing, D swing, two-hand ult, execute. That's
Yeah.
funny.
But there's only so few people who do that I don't think it's something too much to worry about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next one, Pearls of Elnofe.
Elnafe?
I think that's the right way you say it. Whenever you cast a healing ability while your dominant resource is under 30%, gain 5 ultimate. That sounds underwhelming.
Yeah. I think Nephis was worried about it because there's no cooldown on it. So it's like whenever you cast a healing ability while your dominant resource is under 30%, like, are you telling me that I'm under 30% right now and I'm throwing out heals? Is it just 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, just rolling in? So
You mean if I cast Radiating Regeneration once and then each tick that's on you is giving me 5 ultimate?
not tick, but each time you cast.
Okay, yeah.
Whenever you cast a healing ability while your dominant resource is under 30%. So you're under 30% and you go through your healing rotation, whatever that is. It's 4 different abilities, 5, 5, 5, 5. There's 20 ultimate for you. So
Yeah. See, the thing is, I guess if I'm thinking about Volga and I've got about 30k Magicka, 30% of that would be like 10k.
yeah.
I don't like being that low. And as soon as
Yeah,
I do get
you
that low,
heavy attacks, right?
yeah, because I want to be as full as possible. Because if more people show up in a fight, I want to make sure that I have as much magic as possible. So I'm not maybe in PvE or something that maybe you want to spam this like right before a boss. You just get your magic really low and then you just keep spamming abilities or something weird. I don't
Yeah.
know. It sounds a little weird and gimmicky, but I don't I don't know who would try to do that. I know they're patching the Arcasis set, so it's got a cooldown between the whole group or something.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it sounds like it might be crazy, but I'm not really too worried about it. I don't see myself using it.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least for PvP. So, crafted sets. So I think that's the end of all the new stuff that's coming in, and now everything else is just for things that have been adjusted.
Mm-hmm.
So, my favorite part, right, is about to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Daedric Trickery. The major buffs granted from this set now last 21 seconds up from 16. Reduce the cooldown of getting a major buff to 9 seconds, down from 20. This means that if the Mad God, who is Molag Bal,
Sheogorath.
I feel like, why do I keep thinking Molag Bal every single time?
I don't know, but you like praying to him.
Yeah, maybe that's been part of my reason. Maybe I've been praying to the wrong guy, thinking because it's Daedric Trickery, so I just think, oh, anything Daedric is Molag Bal.
Right.
So that explains a lot if I've been praying to the wrong god this whole time. Anyways, this means if the Mad God favors you, you can have up to 3 major buffs active at once from this set. Or if he is displeased, only 1. Will you be tempted by this honeyed words? Bruh, I've been tempted for the last year, and I think I'm the only one who's running this set consistently every single day. Like,
Yeah.
since you introduced me to the Sacrum back in December, I have never, ever taken that set off. And it's gone through a lot of changes, and I'll just brief everybody with the history. So back in December 2019, the way it worked was it had 100% uptime with a 10-second buff duration and a 10-second cooldown. So as soon as the buff ended at the 10-second mark, another buff would show up, or maybe you would be lucky and you would get the same buff again. Then they changed it to now they just increased the duration, the cooldown to 20 seconds. So now you had a 10-second uptime and a 10-second downtime. And now we have the change where you have to be in combat for this thing to proc instead of just, or you have to be doing damage instead of just being in combat. So that was kind of like a little nerf, but it really doesn't matter too much. And so you have to be doing damage in addition to changing the duration to 16 seconds and giving your cooldown 20 seconds. So now there's just a 4-second downtime where you have no buffs. And now with this set, you're telling me I can have, best case scenario, I was running this with Papa the other day. We're running through this example. With the new changes, best case, say we get major expedition. Okay, it procs on the first 9 seconds. Great. Another 9 seconds pop up. You get, we'll say, major heroism. Okay, so now we have major heroism and major expedition active. Okay, major expedition's got 13 more seconds left, and major heroism's got 21 seconds. Okay, another 9 seconds goes through. Guess what? Major expedition procced again. So now your major expedition buff, which at this point would have had only 3 seconds left if you got another buff, it's now just been refreshed. So now you have another 21 seconds of major expedition, and now you have a remaining 13 seconds on major heroism. Okay, so now another 9 seconds goes through. Oh, guess what? You got major heroism. So you just went from expedition, heroism, and this fight is now 40 seconds, and I've just had those 2 buffs, speed and ult generation, up the entire fight. Bruh, you kidding me right now? That's awesome.
Yeah.
And Sheogorath forbid. Okay, I get 1 buff up the whole fight. It just keeps proccing major heroism the whole time. Are you going to complain that I got major heroism up the entire time? I don't think so. You're going to complain that I have major protection up the whole time during a fight? You're going to complain if I got major vitality up the whole fight? Major mending up the whole fight? Major expedition up the whole fight? I think I might be hyping this setup too much that people are going to start using it. I don't know. But
Did you talk about pairing it with Yorvold's?
oh, so Yorvold's, I'm just giving away all my secrets. But I'll go through it. So
Yeah, go for
Yorvold's would make this set give 4 major buffs active because the 21 second duration is now going to pop up to 29 seconds duration. And just going back, when they say 3 buffs, they mean that at the 3rd buff marker, which is 18 seconds after the first one, you say we get major expedition, major heroism, and now the 3rd buff is going to be major protection. So for the next 3 seconds, 19, 20, and 21, you will have protection, heroism, and expedition up at the same time for 3 seconds. That's what they mean. So if you have Jorvold's on Now all your debuff durations are pumping up to 29 seconds, and now at the 27th second, you can get, we'll say, Major Vitality, and you'll have 4 buffs up for a total of 2 seconds. Okay, from 28 and 29 before the first buff that procced almost half a minute ago. Good lord, that's a long time if you think about it.
Yeah.
And now another one will come up. So
Yeah, you're
yeah.
just a walking buff machine.
Yeah, and it's all selfish buffs, but depending on what you got in your kit, it might be really good. I think we
Yeah.
just spent about 4 or 5 minutes talking about Daedric Trickery, or just me just ranting on it. I think this is kind of what I've been hoping for, since since we started the podcast. I have my Daedric Trickery moment, but I'm
Yeah.
pumped up about this set. I hope nobody nerfs it or it's something silly, and I think it'll be a lot of fun.
Well, you'll be happy to know that someone did comment on one of my videos, and they said, "Can you do a build using Daedric Trickery?"
You're lying.
No, dead serious.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I'll send it to you. I'll copy and paste it to you.
That's really funny.
Yep.
Okay, next one. Histbark. This set's 3-piece bonus is now max stamina rather than health recovery.
Yep.
I got nothing. Innate. Oh,
I mean,
what was that?
yeah, I have nothing either. I just
Okay.
said awesome.
Okay, cool. Innate Axiom fixed an issue where this set's bonus weapon spell damage did not apply to special activates from pets, such as Summon Familiar's Damage Pulse. Okay, that's cool. Alright, I'm just going to quick skim these, see which ones actually had changes or not.
I do think that the Night Mother's Gaze, this set now applies Major Breach for 4 seconds rather than Major Fracture. So that's tied into the whole, they're eliminating Major Fracture from the game, and Major Breach is going to be the new, armor debuff. So it says Night Mother's Gaze, this set now applies Major Breach for 4 seconds rather than Major Fracture for 6 seconds when you critically strike an enemy. That's pretty interesting, and I can tell everybody right now, insider tip or secret, I'm going to be running that on my Stamplar, so that way just my biting jab continually strips people of their resistances.
Yeah, and I think the nerf from 6 to 4 seconds is because instead of just doing your physical resistance, now it's doing both physical and spell.
Right.
So I think that's why they lowered that number there. Noble's Conquest. This set now procs off any bash rather than interrupts. That sounds kind of cool. And it heals for 9,000 over 10 seconds rather than 4,000 instantly. And and has an added 10-second cooldown to the heal, which means it's got 100% uptime. Because as long as you bash somebody, right when it ends, it'll be right up again. So that sounds actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
Spectre's Eye. Increase the duration and cooldown of major evasion granted from this set to 30 seconds, up from 5 and 10 respectively. I don't think I know it's a crafted set, but I don't think I've personally ever used it.
No.
Unchained Aggressor. Increase the duration of Major Berserk granted to 12 seconds, up from 6, and reduce the cooldown to 14 seconds from 16. So it looks like it's got a 2-second downtime, but with the changes to Major Berserk, I think that's why they're doubling it.
Yeah. You'll basically almost be able to get Unchained Aggressor almost every 2 CCs. You'll have one that it's on cooldown, and then the next one you break free. You'll get Major Berserk, which they lowered Major Berserk from 25% increased damage to only 10% increased damage. So it's not as significant anymore.
Yeah. Dungeon and arena sets. Banie's Tournament. Increase the duration of the beam up to 15 seconds, up from 5, and increase the cooldown to 15 seconds, up from 14. So it's got 100% uptime, and I think you trigger this from a taunt.
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah. So I'm excited for this set because it's gonna work well with my new bodyguard. trying to think of the word. My new bodyguard build I'm working on, so that'll be pretty cool. Draw Zakar's Claws. Never said those words, actually. Fix an issue where this can fail to activate. That's pretty cool. Durok's Bane increased the duration of Major Defile from the set to 5 seconds up from 4, and reduced the cooldown to 7 seconds down from 8.
Yeah. Major and Minor Defile both got a huge nerf, so this set will become less effective. And Durok's Bane probably had its light in the sun a year ago, so we're pretty far past the meta.
Yeah. Hand of Mafala reduced the snare potency of the set to 33%, down from 50. Why do you think they did that? I can't, with the major minor buff changes, I'm not sure why they would reduce the snare potency.
I don't know. And reduce the snare potency of this set by 33%. Maybe because if you put Hand of Mafala on a DK, DKs have a passive that when they apply, say, Noxious Breath or Venomous Claw or whatever, it applies a snare, or the snare from Biting Jabs.
Oh, okay.
Or Puncturing Sweeps. So maybe when you pair that Hand of Mafala snare with other snares that are either passively or in the game, now all of a sudden it's a 80% slow, right?
Right. Yeah.
Oof.
Healer's Habit. This set now grants an additional 5% healing done when wearing 5 pieces. So that's pretty cool because I think this set will have the most healing, I guess, in the game. Or not most healing in the game, but when I say that, I mean right now it's got minor mending, which will give you 8%, and that's not being changed after all these major minor changes. So this will be having 8% plus an additional 5%. So now healing done is going to be 13% for this set. So if you want a lot of upfront healing, this will be where you would want to probably go.
Yeah.
That'll be cool. Heemjaws, that's your boy. This set now grants up to 129 weapon damage on the 5th piece, and then increase the duration of Major Berserk on proc to 10 seconds up from 5.
Yeah.
You think you're going to bring it back, or nah?
I don't know. I mean, taking your Major Berserk from 25% down to 10%, that's a heck of a nerf. Adding the 129 weapon damage is nice because it didn't have weapon damage on it at all before, for the most part. So we'll have to play around with it and see. I think if it came down to that set or the new Witchman set or whatever, the one with, the million weapon damage, you'd go the million weapon damage route. So
Right. Ironblood, this set now grants a unique 30% damage reduction rather than major protection, and that's because major protection is being brought down from 30 to 10. So this will just be a unique 30, which seems pretty cool. Definitely going to look into that.
Yeah.
Jailor's Tenacity, increased duration to 8 seconds up from 5. Do you know what this one does?
I don't.
All right. And I think Veronica is on break right now, so I can't ask her to look it up. Nightmare set. This now also grants up to 1200 max health when wearing 5 pieces, so that's cool. The 4-piece bonus is now armor instead of weapon damage. Increase the duration of minor maim to 5 seconds up from 2, and added a 3-second cooldown. Isn't this the set that Papa likes to use? Nightmare?
No.
Or is it Night something else?
It's for the heavy armor or the heavy attack builds. It's Night Slayer.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Veronica just got back to me. So when you deal damage, melee damage, you apply a minor maim to all enemies within 8 meters for 2 seconds.
Yeah.
So just doing damage in general, and with these changes, actually might seem pretty interesting. I might actually consider looking at this set on Senna. Scathing Mage. No, just a bug fix. And Sunderflame got a nerf, reduced the damage done to 12,500 over 10 seconds from 13,600. Overland sets, Champion of the Hist got another buff, which is pretty cool. So it's max health that it grants on the 5th piece, which just went up from 1,200 to 16. That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Grace of Gloom, it reduced the cooldown of the set to 20 seconds, down from 25, and the heal from this set now heals for 2,500 every 2 seconds rather than 1,000 every second. This should also significantly reduce the visual rave-like noise of the set. Have you ever seen this set or used this set? I know I haven't.
I have not.
Alright, we will leave it at that. Shock Exoskeleton, increased the spell damage the set grants on its 5-piece to 171, up from 129. That's a interesting little change. I feel like people who use Shock Exoskeleton don't really use it for the spell damage.
Right.
But I guess that's just a way to help motivate people. Vampire Cloak, I don't think anybody uses this set. This set now grants up to 171 spell damage when wearing 5 pieces. I feel like a better buff to Vampire Cloak would be reduce the penalties when you're a vampire.
Yeah.
Because out of all the vampires I know, and I know a lot of vampires, none of them wear cloaks. So, let's see. Venomous Smite fixed an issue where the visuals for this set could remain after the effect ended, such as when a target removed the ability via a purge or died. This is going to be a nice change, because I know even when me and Papa were doing those purges cleanse testing, even when I removed it, the effect was still on me, and that was very, very eye-opening and annoying at the same time. And
Yeah.
I think that also was part of the problem why a lot of people were complaining that it's not cleansable,
Mm-hmm.
which it is, but the actual visual effect of it is not.
Yeah, I'm one of those people. I fell for that as well. You know, it's still making the ticking noise, and you can hear the audio sound to it and the visual to it, you know. So, but when you looked at it, it wasn't actually doing damage.
Mm-hmm. Warrior Poet increased the max health on its 5th piece to 1,600, up from 12. That's a lot of health on that
Yeah.
set. Wisdom of Valanus increased the duration of major mending from 3 seconds up to 5 seconds. That's going to be kind of cool. PvP source sets, Affliction increased the damage per proc to 22, up from 18. That'll be nice. Coward's Gear, this set now also grants up to 250 stamina recovery when wearing 5 pieces. That's a lot of recovery, I think, on that set, or...
And it's got stam recovery built into the armor set too, like the 2, 3, or 4 pieces stam recovery.
Yeah, it's max health, stam recovery, and now a 3rd line of stam recovery. Holy moly. Yeah, that's a lot of stam recovery. That's pretty much 500 just coming from that set alone.
Yeah.
That's cool. Fasaya's Guile now only activates while in combat to help reduce the radiant message and area effect spam it creates. The visuals have also been adjusted to proc each tick, but with less aggressive sounds. This set now also grants up to 1,400 armor when wearing 5 pieces. Interesting. Let's see. Steadfast Hero increased the duration of major protection granted on proc to 10 seconds, up from 5, and reduced the cooldown to 12 seconds, down from 18. That'll be interesting. Ward of Cyrodiil increased the duration of Major Defile from the set to 4 seconds, up from 3. Again, I think that's just because of the major minor changes.
Right.
Trial sets. Anything that comes to mind here that you might want to review? I don't think so, because it's not like we're using trial sets down in the sewers or any sort of PvP thing.
Yeah, I think back in the day when it was first being announced to come out, Yander's Might was one of those sets that a lot of PvPers said, hey, I might look at that for PvP. It's pretty interesting, but I really don't think it's made its way down to Imperial City or Cyrodiil.
Yeah. Oh, Healing Mage, I think from the Aetherian Archive.
Mm-hmm.
It's, I guess, just getting updated with the major minor stuff because right now it will lower your weapon and spell damage, and now they're just going to update it with the minor cowardice buff. So that'll be pretty cool. Or I guess that'll be a little quality of life change. Monster sets. Lady Thorn, Sanguine's Burst Major Maim now lasts 8 seconds, up from 5, and reduce the cooldown per target to 20 seconds, down from 30. I think this procs when you use an ability that will cost health. So maybe this might be something that you can run on a Necro.
Right.
Hit maybe like a Necro support or Necro tank. Now you're hitting everybody with Major Maim for 8 seconds. And
Yeah.
it's got a 12-second downtime. Might be
Didn't
something
they
worth.
lowered Major Maim to 10%, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, it'll be interesting. Scourge Harvester, I like that one. Well, not that I like it, but I'm very intrigued since it's getting some changes. Increase the duration of the set to 6 seconds, up from 4. Reduce the tick frequency to 1 second instead of half a second. And the total healing from the set is now 7.4k instead of 5.7. And that's over 6 seconds instead of 4 seconds.
Yeah.
So I was thinking on Senna, maybe swapping out, if say Yeti's running his blue and giving me major resolve, maybe I can swap out Trudons and put this on.
Right.
Since I know my build has a healing problem, I was thinking maybe put on Scourge Harvester so I get some heals through that way.
Yeah, that'd work.
Yeah, but I guess we'll see. And lastly, the Vicasa set now applies Major Cowardice rather than a unique buff to prevent situations where you could reduce a target's weapon and spell damage to 0, causing them to deal no damage. That sounds nice.
Huh.
Increase the duration to 8 seconds, up from 5, and increase the cooldown from this set to 16, up from 15. So it's got an 8-second downtime. And I think this set procs when you bash a taunted enemy. I think that's correct. Yep. And Veronica can confirm that that is true. So this I'm really excited for to pair it on my bodyguard set. Obviously, I'm not going to go into the details, but once I do get that build up and running in the future, I think it'll be pretty strong. That once I taunt and bash whoever, they're done. You are now nothing in this fight that we're in. So that's going to be pretty cool. I'm excited for that set.
Yeah.
All right, I think that's everything. All the changes, Grim, from the 6.2.0. Any final words or remarks before we do a hard out?
No, just we've got a Discord if you guys are interested in joining us for PvP training, or you just want to jump into Discord with us. We're in there often, and we do stream from there as well. So feel free to jump into the descriptions below, hit the show more button, and click on the link to our Discord. We look forward to seeing you there. And if there's anything you want us to discuss next week, ask us in the comments below, and we will do our best to get that in one of the upcoming episodes.
Awesome.
And that's about it.
Sweet. And with that, guys, see you on the next one. See ya.
See ya. You're going to say bye-bye, Argonians.
Bye bye, Rogonian.